What up, YouTube? Denny in Saigon. Yeah, the Democrats, the lefties, they've been wanting to impeach Trump since before he even sworn in. I think it was Peter Stroke who was texting people about impeaching Trump before they started investigating the guy. This is a big deal to them. They got to impeach Trump. And furthermore, not just Trump, but anybody who's connected to the people like that, who's really trying maybe genuinely to do keep his campaign promises and do what the people actually want. Anybody like that, they're going to want to impeach him right away. Trump's been undoing what Obama set up, and they hate that. They don't want the borders closed. The Democrats, man, they've never been good people. It's never been a party of good people. I don't know what people are even thinking. I used to have this guy I worked with. He was a real nice guy. I liked him quite a bit, but he was a crazy Democrat supporter and always telling me about how bad the Republicans were. I'm not saying there ain't no bad Republicans, because there's an establishment and part of it's Republican, but the Republican Party was started by anti-slave white people and freed black guys, freed black men. They started the Republican Party. That's just a fact. Of course, they covered that all up now. They don't want you to know any of that. That's a part of history that's not taught in school. The Democrats, of course, were started by Freemasons and Ku Klux Klan members. They always voted against black people. They always voted for, they basically voted against the civil rights legislation. I mean, I don't know what people are even thinking, but... And now, they're basically there to enslave people by keeping them dumbed down and hooked on the government. Pretty obvious they don't want to clean up the voter rolls. The Democrats actually sue the states to keep them from cleaning up the voter rolls, to keep them from taking the census to find out how many illegals there really are. There's a book, I think, what's the guy's name? Eric Eggers. You can find him on YouTube. He's speaking out a lot. He wrote a book about fraud and election fraud, how the Democrats, how the left plan to steal the next election. And that means not just the next election, but every election. You can count on it. I mean, when I was a kid, I was 18 years old, and I noticed it then, right? After a presidential election year, for months after that, you would see all kinds of articles come out, usually on the back pages, about voter machines found in warehouses and ballots found in the trunks of taxi cabs and all this stuff, right? You can just see that it's just trickling out. And now, I think the guy said there's over 250 counties in the USA that have way more registered voters than they have people living in the county. And of course, the way they've got it set up, they only need to cheat in a few places to throw a presidential election. The left is always claiming that 65 million people voted for Hillary and 63 voted for Trump. I find that hard to believe, really. I find it hard to believe that Hillary got that many legitimate votes, because when she would have a campaign rally, she'd maybe get a few hundred people who would come out, and Trump was getting 15 or 20,000 people at a time. I don't know if you remember Ross Perot. I'm old enough to remember Ross Perot, and he was going to run as an independent, and he was well on his way to becoming president of the United States, saying many of the things that Trump's saying, talking about fixing the economy, which is something they don't want. And I think they intimidated him. He dropped out of the race. They just basically intimidated him. That's pretty much how it works, man. I think a lot of people don't realize it, but the way they control the politicians and all these players is, one way is they bribe them. and almost all of them take the bribe. But if they don't take the bribe, then they blackmail them. You know, most people will submit to blackmail. I think that's what Comey was trying to do to Trump when he met him in the Oval Office to talk about the dossier, which was, they all knew was fake. Because there's over 70 emails between Bruce Orr and Christopher Steele talking about this dossier and how they're setting it up, how they're creating it. It wasn't just Christopher Steele. Bruce Orr was part of that. Justice Department helped create that dossier, and it's known. It's out there, but you know, like I said, no one on the left is going to go to jail. Obviously, they all get immunity. They all get special treatment. Only people who are going to help Trump, people who might consider helping a candidate like Trump in the future, well, they'll think twice, won't they? People who want to start a Tea Party group, they'll think twice, won't they? That's the America you live in today. Okay, just like any banana republic, because it's definitely going to deteriorate to that if you let corruption run rampant, and that's what happened. Not only that, it's just it's a good old boys network. It's secret societies and clubs and networks of people. The Clintons have always worked like that. Even in Arkansas, it's well known, because if you're old, you know. It's been on, you know, it's been in the public eye for decades. They put people in place. They put cronies in positions to protect them. I mean, Bill Clinton even had the state police bringing these women to his home where he could molest them and stuff, and then denying it in court, lying about it. Even had the state police on the payroll. Had coroners, put coroners in place, so when there's a body, it's a suicide. They know how to do this. This is how it works in the real world. And this is no different what happens in Washington. All these people are put there in position so they can protect Clinton. They can end all the investigations. And they will. They did. They are. They're still in the process of it. The media is there for the sole purpose of protecting the left, so they can transform the country. I guess it's part of America's secret destiny. You'll have to just research Manly P. Hall. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. Congressman Larry McDonald. I've talked a little bit about this before, but you can find his interview on YouTube still, probably for the time being. Congressman Larry McDonald, back in the 90s, he was exposing the new weird odor. He was on Crossfire. I think it was Crossfire with Pat Buchanan, and I forget the other guy's name. And his closing remarks, man, I'll never forget. I'll never forget. He said, well, Pat, if I'm correct in my analysis, we're going to see the country and the world take a hard left. And then, wasn't too long after that, his plane went down and he died. But that was back in the 90s, and back then you didn't expose the new weird odor. You weren't allowed to do that. And they'd have you bumped off or something. You'd die under mysterious circumstances. And that's what happened to him. I better watch out, or I'm going to die under obvious circumstances. That's what happened to Larry McDonald, but yeah, the country did take a hard left. His prediction came true, because you need radical revolution. You need a big-time transformation to change America into the America that the left want it to be. Completely different America than what everybody else wants it to be. Because really, it's not right and left, okay, like a lot of people think. They think it's a two-party system. It is, but it's not just two opinions. There's the extreme left and then everybody else. Okay, the extreme left is in charge. They're the ones who are running the network of evil. Not that there's not an apparent opposition to that, because you got the Bush family. They're just as evil as the Clintons probably. But they're all together. They're all in with the European aristocracy, the old money, the king and the queen, the popes, and all these people. They're all together. They all have the same philosophy, They all have the same agenda. They all share all kinds of things in common. They're all, they're all Marxist. They're all Darwinists. They're pretty much all Machiavellian in their attitudes. The end justifies the means, and so anything's possible from these people. They see themselves as the ruling class, and that's how they want the world to be. They all want to depopulate the planet. Maybe they don't agree on what the population really ought to be, but they all know they want to depopulate it. And so that's just part of it, man. They gotta get rid of nations, get rid of families. They want you to be isolated on your own, just you, against the government. No family, no clan, no friends, no nation, nothing that you cling to, nothing that you're familiar with. In fact, what they really want, what they're really pushing for, of course, is humanity 2.0. They're interested in guiding human evolution. The people who are really doing all this, you can call them whoever you want. I don't care if you call them the Illuminati, call them the New World Order, call them the Deep State, just whoever. You know, the devil has a lot of names. He goes by many names, but you can tell by the way he talks. You can tell by the way he acts, the things he says, that it's the devil. Right? You know what the devil wants. The devil wants one world government. The devil wants to transform the family to get rid of it. The devil wants to, God put man with woman. The devil breaks that apart. God turned man into woman, woman into man. The devil wants to undo that. Whatever God established, that's what the devil wants to undo. And whatever God has forbidden, the devil wants to establish. And that's pretty much what these guys they agree with. You know, in Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, God's talking about, you know, Lucifer. And, he reveals his 5-point plan, you know. At the end he says, who didst weaken the nations, you know. The devil weakens the nations because he has a plan to get everybody into one tent, and then he can control people. He can guide humanity away from God, basically. And that's what's happening. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. The world is cracking up, and people believe in a bunch of bullshit and lies. The devil has been full of shit from the beginning. You know, I've read the Bible. The Bible's not the kind of book that you've read, it's the kind of book that you read. And but I understand that old lesson from the Bible, you know, is man is full of shit. The devil is full of shit. Only God knows what he's talking about. Everybody else is completely full of it. And that's why they're never going to be able to create this humanist utopia and make it work. It's not going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. When you cross the Rainbow Bridge, it isn't going to be pretty. That's my opinion. That's God's opinion. It says so in the Bible. You can read it for yourself. I don't go around quoting the Bible usually. I do sometimes because there's a lot of wisdom in there. But that's where I get my worldview. I get my worldview from the King James Bible, not the New International Version, 64,000 fewer words and all that. But I mean, I don't even go to church or nothing. I'm not really religious, but I believe in the Bible. I believe it's the Word of God. I think it's pretty obvious. Mark. Ain't rained on me yet. Looking that way though. Upsy daisy. Come on, thank you.